children! Save the children! Go! Where are the children? Save the children! Go to save the children!
Courtney's poor ears right now.
What is happening?
I think he's still quoting
Look at Amanda. Amanda's like, is this what the podcast is? This is what just about every podcast starts.
Was denied Hey, we got a new setup here, guys.
We do. We got a new setup. Hey, first of all, thanks for watching Pocket Theology. Do us a favor, and I'm going to say this in front of you. We're trying to get in the habit of this. It's a new thing. Like, subscribe, share it with friends. Actually, it means a lot to us when you do that. I'm grateful that you'd even listen, watch, whatever you're tuning in with. But really, subscribe, like, share comments. Yeah.
Ask
Did I
questions.
miss anything?
No.
Ask questions. Eventually, we're going to have a Hot Pocket Theology theme song.
Hot Pocket.
Hot Pocket Theology?
Pocket Theology.
Have you not heard the Hot Pocket Theology?
This is an initiative that Jason has that he wants us to.
No, we're going to do it.
So this is an initiative we are going to do. We're going to, much like Hot Ones, another very popular podcast, is pop culture interviews of celebrities where they eat progressively hotter hot wings. Jason would like us to do the same, except with Hot Pockets.
Hot Pockets and hot sauce.
Okay.
Where we start off with a very simple question and you dip it. And then, or we have two ways of doing it. Either one, we progressively get hotter the tougher the questions get. But it's a Hot Pocket in hot sauce. So it's like doubly hot or freezing cold.
You
if
got
it's
the
in the
flavor
inside.
hot and the scalding lava hot.
Yes, and so the other thought is that you actually have to draw a question and then draw a hot sauce. And so then whatever you get, you get.
Yeah.
And then people would submit questions. So that's Hot Pocket Theology.
Hot Pocket.
In the meantime, you could submit your questions to podcast@zionclearlake.org, and we would happily read them, and we would love to answer them for you. Or respond to them, because we don't always have the answers.
Thanks for tuning into Pocket Theology. Have a great night. We'll now receive our tithe and offering. Actually, we have a guest, the legendary, the one and only Amanda Farmer,
Yes, that's me.
purveyor of Culver's and youth director at Zion.
Yep, I'm here. I really don't know what to expect.
No, this
so.
is awesome. We don't. There's not really an agenda other than like we do have conversations. It's free flowing, so you're good. Usually, I'll get like, have we started? Like half the time, we don't even know when we've started. That's the best part.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live. Sometimes we're live. So Amanda, tell us a little bit about yourself. For those who don't know, go.
Yeah.
on you.
Amanda Farmer, born and raised here in Clear Lake.
Not Hispanic.
Not Hispanic, no. I'm also not Erica. People, they think we're the same person.
Wow.
Because you're a woman in tan.
So, yes. We have glasses and we have brown hair and slightly the same color skin. So
Not even
you're
close.
You're the same person.
Wow.
You're just not white. Like that's hilarious.
But yeah, I've got 3 daughters. Yeah, I mean, nothing. Married, my husband Jake, and
He is a male man.
Yes, he probably delivers your mail. I'm like really not exciting. I'm just
That's
No,
not true.
I'm a normal,
that's so not true.
That's not.
ordinary gal.
That's so not true. She owns partner. Okay, co-owner.
Yes, I am a partner in Culver's.
Partner.
Yep. There's 5 of us.
It's-
So.
Oh, there's 5. I
Yeah.
didn't realize there were 5 of you.
Yep. There's 5 of us.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So anytime if you've ever eaten anything
He
at
owns
Zion,
the cheese curd division.
That was going to be my question. I was like, how are the lots decided?
I got dipped on custard.
I can tell you what she doesn't own. It's the chicken wild rice soup division because
Dang.
we'd have issues. Because every time I go to get chicken wild rice, it's never on the menu.
They knew you were coming. So
I know.
They're like, don't make it.
It makes me mad. Their chicken wild rice is amazing. Okay, so here's what I actually do have a conversation that this is free flowing. It's about what would a conversation look like around a table if people were just talking about things. As Christians, we don't always have to agree. So there's a lot going on right now in the world.
What?
I know that's crazy. And not like there hasn't been for a while now. But there's a couple things. One, you work with youth. Mm-hmm. You were not too far away from being a youth. Like
That's a very high compliment. I appreciate that.
yeah, well, it's 7 years.
He's the father of a youth.
I am.
Baby.
A baby. I don't know that I would say.
I wouldn't call
of a
that.
youth.
I wouldn't. I've not no experience. But how about this? I've volunteered for a number of years with Amanda's wonderful ministry. So I do have a experience with it, but not to the degree I would say.
You're far enough away that no one's going to be like, "That's a really old high schooler," and yet you're close enough away that when they look at me and they look at you, they go, I can relate to this guy.
But I still can't get the lingo right, and that's gotten me in trouble a few
They
times.
can't even get the lingo right.
I've tried, and it
Should we tell a story?
He walked into Z Youth last week. Hey, those shoes are bussin' 6'7".
This is where we look at the camera gym style.
Okay, so here's the question, and I actually do want to talk, like, in all seriousness, because there's a lot of stuff happening culturally right now, and between internet and everything else, we've talked about my daughter has this condition called functional neurological disorder, and part of what has caused it is a biopsychosocial thing. Like it's this condition that essentially it's not just biological, it's not just psychological, it's a biopsychosocial, and it's triggered by stress. It's a phenomenon, biopsychosocial phenomenon. And
so it's not even a disease per se?
No, it's not a disease. It's that her brain does not process stress the same way someone who's a neurotypical person would. So people with FND, what they're finding, the research is showing, is that their brains don't handle stress the same way, which leads to all these physical symptoms because everything's connected to your nervous system.
Okay.
Well, let's think about how complicated that is in our culture today, because like when I was a kid, if there was an earthquake,
Yum.
That's a new word, earthquake.
I want earthquake.
Earthquake sounds amazing. If there was an earthquake, I might hear about it. I might see pictures of it like hours later. Maybe it was talked about on the news where like it'd be a still, but now it's instantaneous. So we got the war in Iran.
Yeah.
The stuff in Minneapolis. I mean, there's just constant stress hitting our culture, and we're asking kids to handle things that they're not equipped to handle in life. As adults, we're barely equipped to handle it in life.
Yeah.
And yet we give them this thing called a smartphone, which makes us dumb as rocks. And we're asking kids to navigate things like, okay, for a long time they were like, oh, there was no such thing as PTSD, and World War II, the men there were just built different. No, they called it shell shocked. Like you'd see people who went through really horrific battles in World War I, World War II, where they literally had this gaze in their eyes because they saw things. And somehow we've got it in our mind that because it's behind a screen, the image doesn't affect us. Right.
Okay.
When you see the person next to you blown up in battle, that does something to your brain. And yes, the screen kind of acts as a barrier, but we're asking kids to handle things that, quite frankly, most kids, particularly westernized kids, because if you grew up in like Africa or places where there's horrific things happening, this is just their life. And it's not that it's any better.
They get desensitized to it. Yeah.
Yes. But we're asking kids to handle things. When Charlie Kirk was murdered, dude, I saw the video within 20 minutes after it, and it was the close-up where I still see it in my head. There were children who saw that. And so we're now talking, we have the most anxious generation in human history, and yet the most therapized generation in human history. More kids are in therapy, more people are in therapy than at any other point. Therapy is now common among kids, adults. Everybody's got a therapist, counselor, whatever, which again, I'm pro-therapy if it's helpful, and yet it's not getting any better.
Yeah.
They're more anxious, more stressed out. They don't know how to pay attention. They don't know how to engage. And so here's what generally, like they don't. And I'm wondering how much of it is a PTSD response. I'm just guessing how much of their engagement with games and social media is a way to make themselves to deal with the overstimulation because they don't have the ability. So I thought it'd be good having two people who currently work with youth. How are you seeing these things played out in the kids that you're ministering to? And maybe there's not an answer to it, but I'm so far removed apart from my own children. Sure. And then the second question is, and this is
can you succinctly define the first question? Because you said a few things. Is a rampant level of access to ongoing world affairs causing this, or is it a PTSD response? Is it so? What's your first question?
How are you seeing that stress work in kids' lives? And like, is it coming out? Like the reason why they're so anxious is because we're giving them all the reasons to be anxious.
Okay.
Right. And then how are you seeing that affecting the kids that you're working with? And as a parent, I'll tell you how I've seen it affect my kids. And they're just my kids, just like your kids are your kids, every kid deals with it differently. But man, I can't imagine being a teen today.
Yeah.
Like the amount of things that they get subjected to is just overwhelming. And so how is that affecting them? And from a ministry perspective, like how are you seeing this playing out within the kids that you're ministering to?
I do think it's weird, man, that there is a linkage between the advent of social media and the rise of suicide and chronic depression and chronic anxiety. Like, I don't know the numbers. I mean, we could look it up right now, but like seriously, there is a link, and that's really disheartening. Because,
and we can't deny the link. It's clearly
so.
there.
The more they see, the more weight and heaviness gets put on them. Yeah, man, I see it all the time, dude. I mean, I've been saying this for many years of like, especially kids like with denominationalism, and that's a whole other kind of separate conversation. But like, well, like the previous generations would be like, well, hey, no, we're Lutheran, no, we're Methodist, no, we're Catholic, no, we're whatever. And what I'm seeing the question be now is not what denomination should I be. Is my life worth living? Like, should I kill myself or should I not? Do I have hope or do I not? So it's like some of these things that were such strongholds before, like, no, we are dyed-in-the-wool Lutheran or we're dyed-in-the-wool Catholic. All of that is kind of going a little bit bye-bye because they're seeing all of this crazy stuff and they're just like, is life even worth living? So that's my crew back in Wells of like, man, I know, I can think of 4 kids right now that are struggling with suicidal ideation every day of the week. And I do wonder if it is linked to all the stuff that they're seeing on social media.
Yeah.
I don't want to pin it all on that, but I definitely think it's something worth considering.
And it's crazy. We just talked with kids about this. It was a few weeks ago where it's like, if you looked at your screen time on your phone, like I bet you the hours you spend on your phone is wild. And then it even breaks down like, are you on TikTok? Are you on Snapchat? Like what it is. And I think it's one of those things where it's like they invest a good chunk of their time on social media, on their phones. And I know Snapchat's a big thing, but it's like going back and forth, how instant things can get around. And it's just what, like, you can't do anything without it immediately being out there and being known. And yeah, the mental health of it is just like you can't do anything. We have kids who are like, they're videoing me or they're doing this, and it's like that's the culture they're growing up in. Like I didn't have that when I was growing up. I didn't have to worry about people videotaping me or doing any of that. Yeah.
Well, that actually happened to my son. My son was a target of a cyberbully where a kid dressed him down in class for 2.5, 3 minutes, literally called him every name in the book, made fun of him. And Eli just sat there. And I didn't see the video because we took Eli off social media about 2 years ago. And we just let him back on Snapchat because legitimately, and this is so weird, his friends, they don't text, they only Snapchat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, just text. They won't respond. They only do Snapchat. And what I've been told the reason is because they can erase their history. And like, here's the crazy part. Okay, so this is from University of California, San Francisco, May 2025. Depression symptoms jumped 35% as kids' average social media rose from 7 to 73 minutes daily over a 3-year period. I'm sorry, my kid is on social media way more than 73 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's a national average, which means you're taking kids who have no social media with those who that's all they do. And then the suicidality, like, yes, it is linking. There's absolutely a link. And now here's the hard part. From a Christian perspective, we're called to engage in culture, and I believe God can redeem culture. And I believe there are reasons to be on social media from a Christian perspective. But the amount of garbage that our kids are, and I'm not going to say forced to because they're choosing to be there, but the algorithms, dude, it's atrocious, the things. And so spiritually, like, first, I think we'd all agree, everything is spiritual.
Yeah.
So social media is a spiritual issue. We're all being discipled by something. Our kids are being discipled by social media, by everything else. And then when you attach that to the developmental side of where kids are, their brains are not developed enough to handle the information that is taking place in their bodies. Now, theologically, I think we have to talk about this because, Romans chapter 12 talks about being conformed to the image and transformed by God and a renewing of our mind. Dude, well, I don't even feel like it's a renewing of our mind. We now have to also renew our eyes, and we have to renew what we even expose ourselves to. Because how do you renew something that's constantly being given old garbage?
Right.
Yeah.
Or new garbage in different ways? And
Or one flavor of garbage.
yes, well,
Because I think this goes even so much deeper than like, it's not only what they're seeing, it's not only how much time they're spending. I mean, truly, your think space has been marketed and your data has been collected and sold to people who are trying to give you a certain narrative too. So it's like, not only are they isolated with an influx of information, that influx of information has been tailor-made to present one image, and I found it is predominantly negative.
now here's the crazy part. If you go to China, communist China actually has restrictions on, they're only allowed to watch Chinese TikTok, Chinese YouTube. There are things that they won't. And the reason is they don't want American propaganda getting in, but they have an entire market targeted towards America. Why? Because we call it free speech, but they recognize that, like, hey, if we can change the youth, and that's what's happening. Like, if we look at the things that are happening culturally, like, this is, they're winning, and we're looking at, yeah, but we're so much freer than we are. Freedom does not actually mean free, and freedom comes with a cost. And so, are we trading our kids at the expense of our freedom? Are we sacrificing a generation? Which, here's the thing: all idols demand child sacrifice.
Interesting.
And so here we are, we're touting our freedoms, and what are we sacrificing in the process? And, we're like, well, you're restricting my freedom. I'm sorry. I had a student who said to me, nudity is not a big deal. Sex and nudity is not a big deal to younger generations because they see it at such a young age. It's just like, what's the big deal? So I had a student, and it wasn't my kid. I was talking to another kid who said that in our high school, it is not uncommon for kids to have nude pics of each other.
That's wild.
It's ridiculous.
And it's just like, well, yeah.
It's illegal.
And in fact, yes. And kids collecting them, like, and now again, I didn't verify this, but the fact that that's even a thing, and the fact that there is such a desensitization, if not that the human body is something to be ashamed of, but now it's lost all sense of there's no sacredness, there's no holiness to it. There's nothing that is saying, no, we're meant to keep this as something holy because, and it's not a shame thing, but now if you say, hey, cover up, now you're shaming, your body shaming. Right. No, it's like, how do we keep something sacred and still.
And in this context specifically, we're actually also talking about a heavily protected demographic.
Yes.
We're not just talking about, like, we're talking about children. And so that is its own hill.
So theologically and from a ministry, because
I do want to bring
please
an angle.
Please, yeah.
So anyway, we could stay in negative zone.
Yeah.
And
I want to get positive.
because and I think it's absolutely 100% worth talking about, and parents getting concerned and whatever. But also, I think God is about redeeming these things as well.
Yep.
And I've actually seen some of the redemptive properties of how God is using social media. Like, I think of my kids, like I think of Ezra, Aiden, and Josie, and some of the stuff that they've been exposed to is just like appalling. But there's so many things that actually they've been exposed to that has advanced their faith, and it's nothing that I've spoken into them. They're
Bryce Crawford, guys like that.
Bryce Crawford, like, we went to go see Bryce this last year, and it's because my son found him on some platform, Instagram Reels or something like that. And so it's also. It's social media is like, it's like, maybe I'm being too base with this, but it's like money. Money can be used for evil or can be used for good. It's like television. You can use that for good or you could use it for evil. And social media is one of those things that, man, if this generation really got a hold of that idea, and so many kids are of like, dude, I'm going to use this to influence people. I know that's in my son Ezra. He desires to do that. The preachers that kind of come across the feed that my son Aiden listens to is like, dude,
Josh Howerton.
I mean, there's good, and so I'm just believing that God is going to redeem and restore a lot of this kind of stuff. So, because I'm literally seeing it with this generation, music that I never played, like Christian music, like back in the day. My kids are like, "Hey, Dad, have you ever heard this song?" I'm like, "How did you know this?" Yeah. There's stuff that pops up in these guys' feed that I'm like, it's helping form them. It's also helping deform them.
Well, and I think, and again, like, okay, when the book came out, and I mean the written book. You had the entire religious movement in the Catholic Church were like, no, printing press is bad because only the elite should be able to read the Bible. So the Christian church's response has always been to take away whenever there's something new. We're usually the last to adopt it.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be the case. So we should be the first ones who get a hold of it to set it on the right path. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I wish we could have Jacob Peterson, whose family comes to our church, right? He got on TikTok really early on. His brother's involved in social media. Like, their platform is very Jesus-centric. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the problem, and I think this is the hard part, and I'm just going to call it out, and I'm going to call it out in adults, and I'm going to call it out in kids. The amount of social media warriors who think that it's their job to post, repost, criticize everything negative on either side. Mm-hmm. And they think, no, I'm standing up for the truth. I'm like, no, you're just one more drop in an already waterfall of complaint and toxicity. And they're all doing it from this, I'm standing on my virtue, like, no, I've got to call out Trump. No, I've got to call out the protesters. No, I've got to. And I'm like, dude, we have enough of that. Is your voice really... Do you really think you're making that big of a difference? It's like the starfish analogy. Mm-hmm. Guy walks on the beach, sees all the starfish. Hey, why'd you throw one back? Well, because it saved him. But there's millions of them. Yeah, but it mattered to that one. And I'm like, some people think their little thing on social media, well, Jason, I made my voice heard. Dude, there's already a million voices criticizing, complaining, talking about what's wrong with one side. How do we find the center? And that's the part where, okay, this Papa Roach.
Okay, Papa Roach.
You know Papa Roach, the band? You know the lead singer became a Christian?
I did not know that.
Wow, really?
Yep. And he just released a new song that is essentially his anthem of faith. He's been a Christian for 3 years, and he did an interview. Now, here's what we talk about the redemption side of it. He literally came out and he did an interview, and he said, listen, I swear when I was younger, there were two things I would never be. I would never stop drinking, doing drugs, and I'd never be a Christian. And he, because of addiction, his life spiraled. He found hope in Jesus, and now he's in recovery.
Wow.
And he's on fire for Jesus.
How cool.
So Papa Roach's brand new song is essentially a worship anthem. And in fact, he posted a thing, said, if you need to reset your feed, your algorithm, play this 3 times on loop. And it's literally talking about how God rescued him. That's a redemptive. Like, we need things that go against the flow, but we're so busy feeling like by standing up for our virtue, that's what's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so the countercultural thing is when you have those voices that are actually pointing to hope. But then you get into a whole nother element, which is AI. Mm-hmm. And again, immediately the church is resistant to AI. But do you know what I just listened to a podcast on this. Do you know what the 2 primary purposes are being found for AI right now? Therapy and theology.
Really?
So the 2 things that are most common used for AI for younger generation is tell me why I'm feeling, tell me what to do, help me understand what I'm feeling, help me form an argument against my parents or against somebody else. What should I do? And in fact, I think it was ChatGPT got sued because a teen killed himself because the AI basically just said, well, there's no point in this. You might as well kill yourself.
Wow.
Ugh. And then the other was Christians are one of the primary users of AI because it can be a great tool if it's used. But now we're getting into, it wasn't just social media. Now we have AI, which you have, the not just the art form, but the videos, like we don't even know what's real anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so as you're working with kids, and this is why I wanted to talk about this, especially since we have you both here, what are your thoughts on how do we minister and pastor to a generation that's going to be exposed to things that I didn't get exposed to as a kid, with brains that are not developed enough to handle these resources? Like, there's a reason why you didn't let a 10-year-old drive a car. There's a reason why, I think it's hilarious that you got to be 21 to drink, but you can go shoot a gun at somebody at 18. That's weird to me. But there's a reason why we've always had limitations, but there's no limitation on these things that are far more dangerous. Mm-hmm. And then theologically, like you're stepping into that. Like that's the ministry stuff that you are now stepping into. So I thought it'd be good to talk about that. And then I do want to talk about a Bible verse and how we bring hope in the midst of all the chaos that's happening. So I'd just love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to shut up now. There's my piece.
Oh, wow. It's like a loaded question there too. Because it's like, I think the best thing that we can do for kids is one, I do think it's important for them to have a voice, to feel valued, to feel like their perspective does matter.
Yeah.
And I think it's not anything that we can do. I think it really does take a village. It starts at home, it starts in your school, it starts in your community. I don't think it's one thing that the church needs to fix this. Like it is a all hands on deck thing.
Yeah.
And I can help build that foundation, but what you do with your platform and how you use it, like that's something we try to teach kids, like use it for good. Like how can we help you? How can we grow you? How are you going to use your platform to glorify Jesus? How are you going to show love to others? And I do think it's it really is an all hands on deck thing.
How do you disciple that platform? Because that even itself, like it used to be.
This is where I fall apart, dude, because to be honest, I work with teens all the time. I feel very divorced from this. Like I do, I'm out of touch.
Yeah.
Like, with the TikToks and
the ticks and the FaceTimes.
Like I just am. Like I don't live in, like my kids live in that world. I'm still like old school.
So how do we disciple them in that? Because that's my question. Is we need to shape
and I don't know.
Well, but you are doing something because we have to. If we don't give them a foundation to form on, TikTok, all those things will form it for us.
Yeah.
So how do we help shape that and form that? Because it's not going anywhere. Like
Totally.
it or not, you can hate 100%. AI.
Yep.
But you know what's going to happen in 3 years? AI is going to be, you won't even realize you're using AI because it's actually, if you've ever done a Google search, you used AI.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like AI is everywhere. And so you have this, even young people are resistant. I had a young man who came up, we had an AI image show up on Sunday and it wasn't supposed to. And he came, he was like, Pastor, I'm going to ask you, please never use an AI image again. Please use original content. And I was like, wow, the kid's like kind of gutsy, but I was like, cool. And I remember talking to Courtney, she goes, we weren't supposed to show that. I got clicked on accident. Well, because I was like, I want an image that looks like this. I don't care how we get there. This is what I'm looking for. And so you have, like, my daughter hates AI. As a writer, she's now writing her 4th book. She's like, I hate AI. AI is horrible. And I'm like, let's see if in 3 to 5 years, when AI is now just part of our culture, is there going to be that resistance? But then theologically, how do we disciple our kids? I know how we should. Let me rephrase that. I don't know. I think I know how we need to disciple our adults. They have to choose it, though. Mm-hmm. Whereas kids, like, their brains are a little bit more plastic, malleable. Trying to shape adults and inform their decisions is so much harder because adults are like, you're an idiot, I'm right. Kids may say you're an idiot, but you can say it long enough and eventually they'll be like, oh, that sounds real. Mm-hmm. So thoughts, how do we disciple it? Because it does take a village. Yeah. Totally agree.
I mean, you have to go old school. You really have to you have to build those relationships in person. Like, relational ministry, I think, is so important. I can go up there and it'll
never fall flat. I don't feel like, because
you mean not just on your phone, like texting them, like in-person relationship.
Yes. Like you need to get to know that, like, because I can sit here and tell them what to do and give them advice all I want. But if there's no relationship there, I'm just another person yapping in their ear. Like, you have to build those relationships and you have to make that connection for kids to want to even listen to you and know, hey, you have my best interest in mind.
Do you have to, and I'm asking out of ignorance, I'm not setting up anything. Do you have to model for them, or do they care about the model anymore? Is it more of like, because we live in a culture where it's the do as I say, not as I do. Does your modeling actually matter to kids? Like, if you're not doing those things, is a kid more apt, or are they so divorced from that experientially that?
Yeah, we absolutely have to model it because, and we just talked about, we had a middle schooler give the message a few weeks back, and we're so excited to have him. Like he's on fire for the Lord, and just he got up there, and it gives other students the freedom to like, oh wow, like he got up there and he talked about his faith. I think I can do that too.
Yeah.
And as adults, we absolutely have to do that. We have to give them that freedom to like, it's okay. Like you can do this, because
even if they don't do it well.
I mean, that's where the coaching comes in, I think, but it's one of those
I said
things
that tongue in cheek because like there is this expectation if they don't do it right or if it's uncomfortable, we shouldn't have them do it.
Yeah.
But faith is usually uncomfortable and not right when you're stepping in. Like we have to kind of get over that performance side of faith. Yeah,
absolutely. If I'm too afraid to do something, then I cannot expect a student to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't. You can't have an expectation for one person and not want to jump in and do it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. I got some stuff, but you're kind of hemming and hawing over there. What do you got?
Oh, no, nothing. I'm just processing what's being said. Well, yeah.
I've seen you do this 8 times.
Yeah, because, well, yeah, I think I'm coming with a little bit of a nihilistic perspective, and that's why I haven't really quite opened up my mouth. Because to me, it's like modeling, it's great, but the quiet voices always get drowned out by the loud voices, and they have the loudest voice that's ever existed in human history in their pocket.
Yeah.
And so I completely agree with you. Like, it has to be relational, it has to be close, and it has to, in some ways, I don't know if this is I don't think this is the right word, but it has to be better. Like, it has to, like, I don't know what exactly that sentiment means, which is why I don't think it's the right word. But so I completely agree with
More
you.
valuable?
Yes. Yeah, in a way. They have to see the inherent... They have to see the payout, because they're getting an immediate payout right here, right? Like, anyway. Yeah.
So I had a friend of mine who said, my kid's not loving Jesus, and literally then said in front of his kid, isn't that right? Tell him you're not loving Jesus. And right in front of so the kid heard me say it, and I said, then dad, show him a Jesus worth loving. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want your kid to follow Jesus, you need to show him a Jesus worth following. If you're showing him a Jesus who's not worth following, why would he want to? Mm-hmm. Like, there are lots of things to follow. And you're right. Our cell phone gives us a lot of things to follow that are not Christ-like. And they're far more fun and far more instant and seem to be far more gratifying because they're in the moment.
One thing I'm seeing, and this isn't just in Wells, I see this at youth conventions. I see this at even at Zion. I saw it on Sunday morning. There's 3 young ladies sitting in the front, and they're high school kids. And I saw them with their little bag of highlighters, with their open Bible and a notebook. And I'm like, dude, I thought I was a good little note taker when I was in school, but it's a whole thing. Like, and it could be a trend of like, hey, I got my Temu, my little highlighters in my bag and stuff.
Like Temu?
Like yeah, they do. Like my daughter, she goes on, Shein or whatever, and she gets this bag of
$3
right.
17
But there's something to that. Of what I was going to say is, you're right. The AI thing and the social media stuff, it's never going to go away. It's here to stay. It's going to be here forever.
Toothpaste is out of the tube.
But what I feel is that there will be, it's kind of like how, sorry, not to throw tattoos under the bus or anything, but like I personally think, I feel like in 10 to 20 years, there's going to be a purist movement of like, hey, yeah, my mom has tats. I'm throwing Amanda under the bus because she's all tatted up.
The 2 tatted people are on this side of the...
He's got a tattoo right there. It's like this big, the 2 tatted.
But just
actually, Amanda and I have the same tattoo by mistake. It's really
Do
funny.
you really?
Kinda, yeah.
No, but what I love is, okay, Jaden, show them your definition of tatted, and then you, Amanda, show them yours. That's his tat. Look, he's tatted up.
And I'm just like
tatted
all
up.
over the place.
Sorry, Josh. I totally threw you.
And I'm a Christian, so I don't have tats. And no, I already told these guys like why I would never get tats. It's my ideas are so stupid, and I have to live with them for the rest of my life. And I'm not going to talk about it right now. But anyway,
there's therapy there.
But, yeah, right. But I do feel like there's something like we ping pong generationally, right? So like after World War I and World War II, like I have all these sailors come back and they're all tatted up. It seems to like, okay, there's like we're not going to get tats because that's like what the old sailors did or whatever. But like, I do feel like there will be a purist movement that rises up that I'm already seeing it. Like,
yeah, there's already a mass exodus of social media that's happening.
There's a technological resistance. What do they call it? Wouldn't get going. It's like going. I want to say like wooden, but it's like going back to
Analog?
No, it's not even analog, though. That would be wooden too. The log. No, it is. It's the idea of like going. It's resisting to the point where like you're. I can't think of the word, but it's similar to that. But it's not even just analog. It is this resistance to technology. Like I think malls are going to come back.
It might take a minute, but yeah.
I think malls are going to come back because kids are going to want social spaces where you can just hang out and like, but they're going to have to look different than they were in the past.
But I even think that versus like I'm seeing more and more kids like, man, they're bringing their Bibles to different things. They're hauling their stuff around. They're bringing their notebooks. They genuinely take notes and they're really interested in what people are saying. So even though that is real, there is a hunger.
Yep.
And there is a movement of no, you know what? I'm going to get out my paper and pen and I'm going to write and I'm going to read this for myself. And
now, but here's the challenge, long-term effect. Like the tattoos. I know people who got tattoos when they were really young. They're like in their 80s now, and they're not regretting their tattoos.
No.
But here's why. Because most of their tattoos are on their arm or on their back. But when you have a face tattoo and you're 80 years old.
All right.
And I mean like a whole thing that's connected to something that for you is a phase in your life where it's visible. But even like
what if you had a full-bodied
My face
Chewbacca on your
tattoos are
chest?
my favorite ones.
Oh yeah,
I
didn't you do
my
your lips?
and my eyeliner?
well, but so those aren't real face tattoos though. I
got
mean
lip
like
tat?
Yeah, it's
What
like
do you
a
mean
real-
your lips?
like
Yeah.
they're this color because they're tattooed.
Are you
that
kidding me?
color.
But see, that's not I wouldn't call that a real tattoo. I'm talking like someone gets the tribe.
Yeah, no, I know.
And the names written across their forehead, right? And I think when they're going to get older, they're going to look in their kids and go, don't do that. Don't do that, right? But let me finish my thought before you come in.
By the way, I just use tats as an example. I actually don't care.
No, but I'm actually going to go to something other than tats.
Yeah.
So I look back at the styles of clothing that I wore in the 80s and 90s. I'm like, dude, I look like such an idiot. I look so moronic. Well, I had my bandana wrapped around and that stuff comes back. But you know what? Most of that's harmless. Mm-hmm. You've got an entire generation that is body morphing, and they're not just like they're changing their names. They're doing all this stuff that to repair is not just to dyeing your hair a different color. Like they're literally trying to fit their identity into something thinking that's going to solve the problem. And it doesn't. The statistics have shown that when people do this stuff, it actually for a little bit makes them feel more at home in their body until they realize the problem wasn't that. Mm. And this is long-term fix. This is why like the gender affirming care stuff is getting tanked because Europe, which was the first one to do gender affirming care, has just come out and said, we're now seeing the hard effects that putting 5-year-olds on puberty blockers is having. So now they've banned it. They were the first ones to do it. America, well, we've got to be free. And I'm like, no, we're causing long-term effects. That is not just that was a ridiculous hair color. Yeah. I can't believe I did my hair like that. I saw this person on the news. They had like piercings all over. Their tongue was split. Their lip. I mean, these are body morphing things. And when their brains get fully formed, and they hit their 30s and 40s and they can't find a job, or all of a sudden they're looking in the mirror and going, I don't recognize myself. We have nothing to counteract that because we're not teaching. We're teaching people that what should form you is you, and the worst thing to form you is you. I should not be forming myself because I'll end up being selfish, insecure, all these broken things. You need something that is more beautiful, that actually points to something to shape us. And yet, even in the church, this is my problem with self-awareness. I believe in self-awareness. This is my problem with a lot of the contemplative movements when it's apart from the purpose of what contemplative was supposed to be. It's now about self-realization and self-actualization instead of understanding I find myself in Christ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I find my shape not by culture, which is constantly shifting, but in something that is outlasted culture.
Mm-hmm. I'll be Kyle right now. I'm not near as smart as he is, but this is where connecting with the timeless is really, really important. And and the timeless is, from my perspective, that's been the most helpful is church history, is early church father teachings. It's the apostles and those who have come after who have faithfully tended this beautiful thing called the church, and timeless. Timeless things that are still important even now today.
But okay, so I'm not gonna push back because I agree, but I'm gonna ask a real question that I think it struggles with. Whenever we try to go backward and say we need to act like this,
I'm not saying that.
I know you're not. But let me finish my thought, because the problem is if we go backwards, is the goal to become like them or to learn from them?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just listened to a podcast with Wes Huff, dude. I love Wes Huff, dude. If I could get that cat on this podcast, that'd be dope. But he said, the goal is not that we become like what they were, but that we learn from them, and we start saying, what are the things that they brought to the table that we've lost?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we're not careful, what we can do is romanticize the past and forget how broken the early church was. Like, I love when people are like, we need to get back to the first century church because that's how church is supposed to be. And I'm like, have you read Corinthians, yo? You got dudes sleeping with their mother-in-law. You got people not being cared. Like, the church has always been broken.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree.
Yeah, I think you ran a little bit more than what I was saying. I'm not saying we need to go back to form. I am saying that there is something to that.
I knew you were.
I love when you have a generation that's struggling with this sense of identity and this purpose and this stuff, and then you go back and you read it and you go, oh, this has always been a human condition problem, not this thing. So hope becomes more available when you realize that this isn't like the end of the line. Like, this has been something that's existed for forever. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. And I knew that's where you were going, but that's why I wanted to ask the question, because a lot of times I'm not gonna say people, when I hear that, what I hear is, well, we just need to do what they did. I'm like, well, no, what they did, they didn't have social media, they didn't have computers or cell phones, they didn't have any of the things that are in our way. So if you were to put someone from the second century in today's, they'd have no clue what to do. They'd be speaking to people and they'd be looking at them like, no. So how do we contextualize those things and meet people? Does that make sense?
Yeah. This is going to probably sound like a big pile of dookie or whatever, but I'm trying to kind of marry both of your ideas here.
Well, I don't have an idea. I'm asking
because I'm thinking of the early church, and Corinthians, man, they're going through, and man, they're eating food sacrificed to idols, and there's all these kind of like crazy things out and about. And then yet God is birthing this brand new movement called the church. And so even all the course corrections in Ephesians and in first and second Corinthians and all
Galatians,
I mean, they're all corrective, like, hey, you guys are kind of like out of line, like, come back over here, because they're trying to figure it out in a culture that's gone wild. And so I'm like, I always think like, okay, well, maybe, yeah, like, we live in such a different age. And I think what Jaden's pointing at is it's not that different.
No.
The forms have changed.
Yes.
The platforms have changed.
Yes.
But like, it's still the same thing. And God, even like, we're like, oh man, we have such a different era. It's what you're saying. It was a hot flipping mess in first century.
And it was actually worse than today is in many. When people are like, we're the new Roman Empire, I'm like,
we're not even close.
I don't think you know how messed up the Roman Empire was.
So, but if we stop comparing, so the thing you call,
let me finish my point. So my point is, and yet kids are still finding the truth today.
Exactly.
Forrest Frank over the last couple of years has blown. It's like there's all of these cool things that God is doing in the midst of a pagan, gross society. So because nothing's gonna, the gates of hell will not prevail against the church.
Well, what if somebody
the kingdom of God is advancing?
What if someone had come to Forrest Frank and said, "Oh, you can't use that medium because that's not what they did in the old church. That's not how they did it in the past." And that's why I wasn't pushing against you. Like, I totally understood where you were going.
I'm not upset if it seems like I am.
No, I don't think you're upset. No, you said that I took it the wrong way. No, I knew where you were going.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that we're asking the question of, is this about form or is it about function? And the truth is, humans have always dealt with the same issues.
Well,
they deal with them differently.
And it needs to stop being a game of comparison.
Right.
Because that's the other problem, is that there is the woe is me more so than woe is them, or woe is this, that. Just like that mentality keeps you in the woe.
You mean like when people are like, man, if we could just go back to the 1950s, that is unless you're not white.
Well, I just think
a man. If you're a white man, the 1950s are great to live in.
Sure.
But is that kind of what you mean? Like, if we're going to do comparison, we have to realize that it wasn't better back then, and it's not better now. Well, it was different.
It's
Is that
different.
what
It's
you're
different,
saying?
and we've got our own problems, and they look different, and even just at this table, the lens that we have to guide we're talking about youth, right? So let's even like go back to the concept at hand. Is like, we don't know exactly how to walk alongside their lens and how they're perceiving all of this, and to your point,
Totally, bro.
you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Because even me, I'm feeling like a dinosaur. I'm 43, but even just in the last 10 years, hey, old man, like even I think of how all of this has changed in the last 10 years. 10 years
5
ago,
years.
10 years ago was TikTok a thing.
Yes, but it was barely.
So what I think the difference, the nuance is that it's just this stuff that's been around since the dawn of time is just now readily accessible, so quick, lightning fast, and you can tap into any of that and be exposed to all sorts of crap that the devil's doing in the world.
Well,
and the other half
Going back
of
to
what
your
I was
Charlie Kirk thing, it's like, dude, we should not be seeing this stuff.
and the other half of what I was saying was the other thing that has been accessible since the beginning of time is truth.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm also saying. So we there is finding that, and that lens at this table we believe is through Scripture,
Well,
and through
and culturally,
church.
part of the noise that we have to wrestle with is you've got an entire generation that's told truth is subjective. This is why I hate the phrase "my truth." That's my truth versus your truth, and it's like, no, there's truth, and then there's not the truth. And so it's not as simple as the truth is always accessible, because we now have to go through a cultural lie that says truth is whatever it is true for you. And I'm like, well,
But Jason, I'm at this table. We believe there is a truth.
no, absolutely. But this is my at this table. But we have to now go out into the world and influence people who don't.
Yeah,
And so
that's our platform.
How do we do that? And how do we do that in a way like I'm tired of seeing the church placate to culture, but then show culture something that's worth following, different than the rising tide of culture. Like, I can't sit there and be surprised when my kids are oohed and awed by technology and TikTok and social media and all that stuff, when I'm not giving them something that's more appealing, more attractive. And I don't mean more sensual. And by sensual, I don't mean sexual. I mean, that's gonna hit their senses better. Because that's part of the reason why they're so drawn to it, is it triggers, it ticks all those boxes from what you see, what you hear, what you feel.
It excites your senses.
It excites your senses. And Christianity was a sensory religion. This is actually one of the things that I appreciate about the Catholic Church when they do the cantor, what's
Incense,
the incense, but what's that thing called, the ball?
The sensor?
Yeah, incense.
The incense, right?
Incense.
Where literally you go in and they'd have the aroma, and the ideal is they want your senses to be active. Well, so much of our senses right now, and Kyle's talked about this, I agree with this. What we consider sensory experience in the modern church today is all visual and music. And so we got to have bright lights, we have to have loud sounds, and we have to have ecstatic emotions, which I think all those are good things. If you look at the temple, just read the description of the temple.
Totally, man.
Dude, there were bright lights and loud sounds.
Incredible beauty. Yep.
Incredible beauty. And so this isn't me going, oh, the stages, if you have a platinum. No, like, God has always used sensory, but are we bringing them to something more profound than just an emotional experience or an opinion?
Totally.
And this is where my struggle is. And so now let's go back to the AI, and then I want to read this text, and then I want to briefly talk about how do we find hope in the midst of this. What AI, the problem we're now seeing with AI is AI will only tell you what you want to hear. So literally, large language models are designed based upon you. So if I type something into ChatGPT versus you, we will get different responses because it's learning me.
Right.
It's learning who my influences are. It's learning what I like. So literally,
it'll tell you what it thinks
The kind of
you
answer
will want
you're
to hear.
gonna
that's
wanna
right.
hear,
And then you'll go, see, ChatGPT agrees with me. That's right. It agrees with you. And then when you do it, it'll agree with you. And that's actually the slippery slope of AI, is because AI is the ultimate appeasement tool. There are people who are finding relationships within. That was the third thing. So it was theology, counseling, and relationships. We have people now who are having.
Dude, I I'm Chat GPT stuff about relationships.
No. I mean, they're actually having a relationship with ChatGPT.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Like legitimately, it
I'm
has
asking AI stuff about how do
it
I
has-
how do I work through my trauma?
Grok actually has a voice feature that will talk to you, and so like there are people falling in love with their AI.
Frank Herbert is rolling in his grave
Yes.
right now. He's
There
like,
was
"You're
legitimately-
letting the machines think for you, you idiots!"
There's legitimately this last year, a dude divorced his wife because he wanted to marry his AI girlfriend.
Cool. Praise the
So,
Lord.
but now we have teens. But now
Praise the
we have
Lord.
teens who it's. Why would I want an actual girlfriend when I have this thing in my hand that will literally tell me everything that I want to hear, will never disagree with me, will do anything I ask it to because there's a visual component to, and they're losing more and more connectivity. Like this is the theological realm that we're going to have to enter into this.
Yeah.
And like I don't think most churches are thinking about that. We're going to come into a whole new sphere of problems. And this brings in the ethical stuff. Okay, so here's
Again, that thing is old as time.
Yep.
But it's creepy how readily available now I can figure out exactly what I want to hear. Before you'd have to kind of figure out, okay, what's the right voice that I should be listening to that'll tell me what I want to
Yep.
hear. Now it's now.
and on top of that, what I want to see. So
Totally.
have you seen the AI Star Wars? This person legitimately
Oh, dude.
made an entire did all the stuff that George Lucas never did and wrote a script, and it's just as good as the movie.
super
even better.
cool.
It's even
Yeah.
better, to be honest. Like Darth Vader, Anakin all scarred up and having a conversation with Kenobi, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know George Lucas, all AI.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So here's the question, and I want to briefly.
And it's not that good, by the way, because I can tell, this is
No, you
this
didn't
is
see
AI.
you didn't see the same one I saw. The one I saw, I'm like, that legit. I thought it was like a Lucas released something. Like it looked no different. It was insane. Okay, so in the midst of this, the Bible warns of these things, but there's a thing in here that we miss. And as Christians, we get caught up in always trying to figure out when's Jesus coming back. Is this the war? Is this the famine? Right? This is Matthew 24. For many will come in my name saying, I am the Messiah, and they will deceive many. You are going to hear of wars and rumors of war. See that you are not alarmed,
All right.
because these things must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. This is Matthew 24, 5-7, and there's more to the text, but first of all,
yes, there is more to the
there's
text.
way more to the text. But every these are not new things. The Bible's always knew that we were going to have these conflicts. There was going to be things all promising to be the Messiah. I think of all the people who thought Trump was going to be the Messiah and Putin the Antichrist. And before that, it was Reagan. And before that, it was Saddam. I mean, it's everybody. But I think we forget this part. See that you are not alarmed. Mm-hmm. How do we as Christians raise the alarm without being alarmed? You see what I'm saying there? Like, how do we get people to realize, like, no, there's danger here without acting in a panic as if God's not in control, as if, oh my gosh, the church is going to end and it's the threat to everything. Like, we're supposed to be a non-anxious presence in an anxious world.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that? Because everything we're talking about is this anxiousness that's being caused.
Mm-hmm.
See that you are not alarmed, but we are called to raise the alarm. We are called to say there's danger. Like, look out. The devil he's smooth, right? He's a smooth criminal.
Mm-hmm.
How do we raise the alarm without being alarmed?
I think this whole, just talking about formation, no longer conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I did a conference years ago. This is actually right before COVID broke out. I was doing this conference, and this guy, a strong prophetic voice who I've followed his stuff for many years, and some of the stuff he was kind of out in the weeds on, but a lot of the stuff was really, really powerful. And he said, this was October of 19, he said, we're coming into an era where it's crucial that you have your head in heaven. And that could be said since the dawn of the church. Get your head in heaven. Don't focus on earthly things, but focus on the things above. Whatever is pure, noble, holy, like those beautiful. Like focus on those admirable. The scripture's full of it. So we as believers should always have our head in heaven. But he just said specifically, this is a period of time that it's crucial that you have your head focused on Christ, because there's going to be everything like swirling around you that will make you focus on that. And I'm like, whether he was a prophet or not, I took that and I ran with that for years. I'm still running with that of just like, man, the church, I just want to like scream it from the mountain. It's just like, bro, have your head in heaven. The Bible says he will walk in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on him. And I'm like, that's what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm pretty out of touch with AI. I'm pretty out of touch with social media and stuff. But I'm like, what I am trying to teach my kids back in Wells is like, dude, don't focus on the temporal, focus on the eternal. And we're trying to create pathways to set them up for that. So we're trying to teach them silence. We're trying to teach them sacraments. We're trying to teach them worship. We're trying to teach them expression of like having a passion for Jesus, like to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. So we're probably not doing it great, but even,
at least you're doing it.
But even with all this stuff, it's like, okay, we're even trying to equip them with that. Like I just had a conversation with my boy Aiden the other day, and I'm like, but I'm just kind of heavy for the world. And Aiden, he's like, Dad, I kind of think like stuff's winding up. And whether it's true or not, the idea is it's making him go, we shouldn't be focusing on this stuff. We should be focusing on the Lord. And not that we bury our head under the sand and don't talk about social issues and these different things happening in the world. But the reality is this is super doom and gloom. And I'm sorry, everybody. Things will not be okay until Christ comes.
Amen.
Like fully, like we're wanting everything to.
It's not going to be okay.
Like it will not be okay until he returns and the Prince of Peace sets foot on the ground here and brings the fullness of the kingdom. And so I'm trying to teach the kids that. I don't know about this other stuff, dude, very well, but like that's one thing that we're trying to give them.
I think we overcomplicate things sometimes too.
Yeah, totally.
Where it's just like, get into your scripture. It's the easy, like it's literally telling us what to do and not to do. And we just get into these mindsets of like, well, it can't be that simple. Like
it's so easy,
but it is
complicated.
Yeah.
Proverbs 1:5, wise people listen, wise people learn.
Yes.
Proverbs 1:5, wiggle like a worm.
Love it.
But it's like, gosh, you just want to like scream at people sometimes where it is like, just listen.
Yes.
Just do what I'm telling you to do. And like, it'll be so much easier for you.
Yeah.
We overcomplicate things all the time. Like even the little things, we want to make it be way harder than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it, we put it on ourselves and make it that way. And it's like, how do we fix that? Like, how do we undo that?
Mm-hmm.
So they did a study. Well, it wasn't even a study. They actually did it. If one parent forbids their kid to bring their phone to school, that kid feels ostracized and excluded. But if none of the kids are allowed to have their phone, yes, they'll complain. And they have actually showed schools that the first couple of weeks, even the parents were upset, like, I can't get a hold of my kid. Mm-hmm. And what they found is that if everybody has to do the same thing, they'll all eventually calm down. But if only a few people do, they're the ones who feel outside. Yeah. And I wonder how much of the only way this is going to get solved is when there's a partnership, when it's not just the church raising the alarm, but when we have like schools and businesses that are saying, hey, maybe we need to rethink how we're forming our kids and make commitments together. Because when it's always that one parent like, oh, you're the weird homeschool kid, right? Which, by the way, homeschooling is cool now. When I was a kid, homeschooling was for the weird families. Now, like all the kids that I know are homeschooled are super awesome kids, right? But I wonder how much of that is like, we see it in church. When we were talking about this at lunch, raising your hands. If everybody raises their hands, nobody feels weird. But if nobody's raising your hand and you're the one kid who does it, you're like,
yeah.
And
we're goofy at the way where, especially going into small group time.
Wells area youth.
Yeah, we do make kids. We have different grade buckets, and we like have them put their phones. Because at the school,
I love that.
At the school, they get these little yonder pouches, and they put their phone in, and it's gone for the day. So that is a major help, actually. Like
because you're
like
partnering.
the school is used to it, the youth ministry is used to it. So I'm kind of a fan of that.
I wish that I had not given my kids cell phones when we did. That's one of my regrets as a parent.
Me too.
And we gave them social media too early. And part of the
I wish that I still didn't have a stinking cell phone. Get out of here. Hate them.
but the reason why we did it, we tried to do the Gizmo watch, but we couldn't, they didn't work half the time.
That went over like a lead balloon.
And so, and then it was like their friends had it, and we had a lot of restrictions. But once social media got unlocked, which we waited until they were 14 to get, still too early. Which Australia just banned. I think you have to be 16 to do social media now in Australia.
Wow, no kidding.
There's actually a lot of different softwares or companies of different social medias that are starting to require driver's license be now. Granted, data collection, I understand that's a big problem with that, but even companies are starting to be like, we need to start being aware of how many young people.
And it's got to be more than just are you older than?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Where you can fake your birth date and
Yes.
change the year. So,
Yeah,
now I'm
so they're
old enough.
trying. It's not perfect, but they're trying.
But I think what we're going to find, and this is where I love that there is going to be a swing, and then let's end with this, but I think there is going to be a swing where you're going to see a generation, and we're already starting to see it, where they're tired, and they are techno fatigued, to where now kids are going to flip phones, they're getting off social media. But like, you know what I miss? I miss appointment television. When everybody came together to watch a show together, and now
TGIF, man.
But let's think about what's happened now,
go.
because and this is going to sound really bad until you see how good it was. In the time, we didn't realize, we thought it was a problem then, and now we're like, maybe that was the solution. When media became consumable at any time you want it to be, there was nothing for people to gather around that was special.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we've made ourselves busy with everything. And so like, this is going to sound goofy. You know why you didn't have sports on Thursday night? Because the coach wanted to be home to watch Friends. And so now we have sports every night of the week. We have sports every weekend. Why? Because, and it's not that sports is the problem, but it's actually just another form of idolatry if we're not careful, where we're letting kids be formed and shaped by something that isn't ultimate. But the same is true of our hobbies. Mm-hmm. And those things grounded us. And so, like, no, we shouldn't be watching TV, but think about it. When I was a kid, it was, would you go outside and, hey, Tommy, come back inside. It's 9:00. Now we're begging our kids to go outside and play because all they want to do is sit around and consume. Whereas before, you only had about a 2 or 3 hour chunk of time from 6 to 9 that there was television. And up until that point, like, apart from right after school when you had DuckTales. And weekends, you had cartoons until 11 a.m. And then as soon as 11 a.m. was done, kids were out playing. Now everything is so instantaneous. We have nothing that actually grounds us as a family to come together. And as horrible as we might go, why do we need media at all? I think it's far better solution to the alternative of what we have now, where everything is just a free-for-all. So there's nothing that actually grounds us. And so I think then it was a problem, and it started being a problem, but now it's so instantly consumable, including messages. People like, I don't go to church because I watch church online. Oh, I don't go to church because I listen to Stephen Furtick's podcast on elevation. Dude, you're not a part of a church. You're just consuming the church.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name's Jaden, and I'm going to go back on a comment I made earlier. I actually would really love to return to rhythms that have been established for us. Because that's what you're saying right now. You're actually having a rhythm conversation. And we have rhythms that have been established. And those rhythms had community mindsets. Sabbath was a community mindset that was a rhythmic community mindset. Church was a rhythmic community mindset that gathered people together. This a la carte, everyone's accessible all the time, actually means no one wants to be.
This is also why people are flooding back into mainline historic churches, Orthodox,
They're looking for rhythms.
Catholicism. They're looking for the rhythm, and I am too. Like I mean, that's a major draw to those types of churches.
And so because we can't put like Ruslan's one of my favorite YouTube podcast YouTuber guys. He has a platform because he's on social media, and so it's like it's a both and, not an either or. And I think if we're not careful, if we say it's either or, what you're going to lose are those people who have a foot in. So how do we redeem it while still doing it? And this is why it's so much more complicated. Those things didn't exist, which is why you can't just come in and say, well, we don't believe in social media here. Go be Amish then. Did you know, by the way,
Okay.
they are allowing Amish to use electric bikes now? Did you know that certain Amish communities are using e-bikes?
Dude, my Amish friends in Shipshawana years ago, they were using phones and driving.
And they can use modern tractors.
Homeboy had it.
But they have to be.
Oh yeah, I use my laptop for work. Okay, Jerry, whatever you got to tell yourself.
Don't you mean Abraham?
Angry Birds.
No, it's Jerry.
Micah, I know. I'm trying to do like a good, but
good
that's
stuff.
I think that's the difficulty is if we tell people it's an either or, it's a both and so how do we live in that tension? And that's that's the part of why I thought it'd be good to have this conversation, because you are pouring into those who are stepping in.
Yeah.
And they're now going to have to lead the next generation. And so if we don't give them some wisdom,
Yeah, for real.
like it's a crazy train to create, quote, Ozzy Osbourne.
Rest in peace.
Did you know his kids said he was a Christian? Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I don't get to judge that, but I was like, I didn't know that. So, hey, Amanda, great having you here.
Anyway, nothing.
No,
Jack. Anyway,
Jack Osborne?
long story. There's a guy named Reese Saunders who his daughter is married to Jack.
oh,
Reese is one of my favorite preachers. And so it's interesting because I saw the comments of Jack Osborne, but I'm like, wonder if my boy Reese was like working on. Anyway, so
that's
whatever.
awesome.
Yeah.
Amanda, so great to have you here. We'll have you back. Everybody say hi, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Again, like, subscribe, do all the things. Thanks for watching.
Put it on social media. Can you even? It's
Follow us on
ironic because we're
TikTok.
talking about social media.
Put it all in the talks. Talk the tick.
What?